The train slows as it glides into Kyoto station, its rhythm softening until it comes to a smooth halt. You step off the platform and into the evening air, and almost immediately the city feels different from any other. Though Kyoto is modern in many ways, with bustling streets and neon signs, there is something ancient in its bones, something steady that lingers beneath the surface. You feel it even before you leave the station, a sense of quiet anticipation, as though the city is holding its breath, waiting for twilight to unfold. Outside, the last traces of sunlight fade from the sky, leaving behind a wash of indigo. The air is gentle, cool, touched with the faint fragrance of pine carried down from the surrounding hills. The hum of traffic is distant, softened by the hour, and as you begin your walk toward the old quarter, the rhythm of the city slows. Kyoto after dark is not a place of chaos and clamor, but of calm, of stillness, of lanterns flickering to life one by one. Your path leads you toward Gion, the most famous of Kyoto's historic districts. The streets narrow, the buildings lower, and the world seems to fold in upon itself, drawing you into something more intimate. Wooden machiya townhouses line the lanes, their sliding doors closed, their lattice windows glowing faintly from within. Some are shops, some restaurants, some private homes, yet all share the same architectural rhythm. Cedar beams, tiled roofs, paper lanterns swaying softly in the breeze. The scent of charcoal drifts faintly from somewhere nearby, mingling with the delicate perfume of cherry blossoms, even though the blossoms are long gone, still lingering in the wood, in the soil, in the memory of the place. The first lanterns appear, glowing softly against the deepening sky. They are not harsh, not bright, but warm and golden, their light diffused by paper shades painted with calligraphy or symbols of tea houses. Each one casts a small pool of light across the stone paving, creating a rhythm of brightness and shadow that guides your steps. As you walk deeper into Gion, the lanterns multiply, forming a constellation of earthbound stars that seem to mirror the heavens above. The soundscape is subtle but unmistakable. Wooden geta sandals clack against stone as someone hurries through the alley, their echo sharp and brief. The faint strum of a shamisen drifts from a nearby tea house, its notes soft and deliberate, rising and fading like breath. Somewhere in the distance, water trickles from a bamboo fountain, striking the stone with a hollow, rhythmic knock. Each sound is small, but together they form a harmony that belongs only to Kyoto at twilight. You pass a narrow alley where a red paper lantern glows above a doorway. For a moment, the sliding door opens, and a geisha steps out. Her kimono shimmers with delicate patterns of flowers and waves, her obi tied in intricate folds, her hair adorned with subtle ornaments that catch the lantern light. She moves quickly, gracefully, her white-painted face serene, her gaze lowered as she glides into the night. The sight is fleeting, no more than a breath, but it lingers with you, a reminder that tradition still lives here, woven seamlessly into the fabric of the present. As you continue, the district reveals its contrasts. Some alleys are quiet, their tea houses closed, their lanterns extinguished. Others hum with life, the low murmur of voices spilling from behind sliding doors. Through narrow openings, you catch glimpses of tatami mats, low tables, and guests seated in conversation, their laughter soft but sincere. Servers move silently across the rooms, carrying trays of sake and small dishes, their presence as much a part of the rhythm as the food itself. The atmosphere is one of intimacy, of shared experience, of traditions passed quietly from one generation to the next. Crossing a small bridge, you pause to gaze at the canal flowing beneath. Its water is dark, but not silent. The gentle trickle echoes faintly between the stone walls. Lanterns reflect in its surface, trembling with each ripple, forming shimmering trails of gold and red that stretch into the distance. The willow trees along the banks sway gently, their long branches brushing the surface of the water like paintbrushes across a canvas. The air here is cooler, touched by the scent of flowing water and damp stone. You linger, letting the quiet scene sink into you before continuing onward. The further you go, the more Kyoto transforms. Modern shops give way to smaller, older storefronts. Glass fades into wood, neon signs recede, replaced by calligraphy painted on wooden boards. The streets seem to narrow, not only in size, but in time, drawing you deeper into a rhythm that feels centuries old. At every turn, there is a detail to notice. A paper lantern painted with the crest of a tea house, a small shrine tucked between buildings, a doorway framed by Norin curtains that sway gently in the night breeze. Eventually, you emerge into a wider street, lined with tea houses and restaurants. Here, the lanterns glow more brightly, their light spilling across the paving stones, their reflections catching in polished wooden beams. The air is filled with aromas, soy sauce simmering in pots, skewers grilling over open flame, the sweetness of mochi toasted until crisp on the outside, soft within. The scent is inviting, grounding, a reminder that Kyoto is not only a place of temples and tradition, but of food and flavor as well. You pause outside one restaurant, its door sliding open just enough for you to glimpse inside. The space is dim, illuminated by a single hanging lantern. Guests sit on tatami mats around low tables, their voices quiet, their movements deliberate. A hostess in a simple kimono bows as she delivers dishes, bowls of steaming rice, plates of grilled fish, cups of green tea whose steam curls gently into the air. The scene feels timeless, as though it could have happened yesterday or 100 years ago. You watch for a moment, then move on, content to let the memory rest in its own stillness. Farther along, the street quiets once more. The lanterns thin, the voices fade, the air grows cooler. You turn down another alley, narrower this time, its walls rising close on either side. Here, the only light comes from a single lantern above a shrine. The shrine itself is small, no larger than a doorway, its wooden frame painted vermilion, its roof crowned with weathered tiles. Inside, a figure of the fox deity Inari sits, its eyes glinting in the lantern light. Offerings of rice and coins rest at its feet, the presence of devotion unmistakable. The air is heavy with incense, lingering long after the smoke has faded. You pause, bow your head slightly, and continue. The alley leads you out once more toward the Kamo River. Its waters flow steadily, catching the reflections of lanterns and stars alike. Along the banks, a few couples sit quietly, their voices low, their silhouettes outlined against the water. The sound of the river is soothing, constant, a reminder of time's passage and the city's endurance. You walk along the riverbank for a while, the cool air brushing against your skin, the scent of flowing water grounding you in the moment. As the first part of your walk draws to a close, you realize that Kyoto has revealed itself not through grandeur, but through details. The clack of Geta sandals on stone, the glow of a single paper lantern, the fragrance of grilled food drifting through an alley, the glimpse of a geisha disappearing into the night. Each fragment is small, but together they form a whole, an atmosphere that is both ancient and alive, fragile yet enduring. Kyoto at twilight is not a city you rush through. It is a city you enter slowly, step by step, lantern by lantern, breath by breath. You pause once more by the river, gazing at the reflections shimmering on its surface. The night is still young, and there are temples, shrines, gardens, and flavors yet to discover. But already, Kyoto has shared its secret, that beauty lies not in spectacle, but in stillness, in the quiet unfolding of twilight across wood, stone, and water. And with that, your journey deeper into the heart of Kyoto begins. Leaving behind the lantern-lit streets of Gion, you follow a quiet path that rises gently toward the hills to the east. The air grows cooler as you climb, carrying with it the mingled scents of pine, cedar, and faint incense drifting down from temple courtyards above. The chatter of the city fades behind you, replaced by silence broken only by the rhythmic chirp of crickets and the steady tap of your own footsteps on the stone. Twilight has deepened into early night, and with it, Kyoto transforms. What was once a city of streets and shops now reveals its more ancient soul, carved into temples and shrines that stand as guardians of centuries. The path leads upward until finally, the great terrace of Kiyomizu-dera comes into view. By day, it is one of Kyoto's most visited temples, crowded with visitors leaning over the balcony to gaze at the city spread below. But at night, it is different, emptier, quieter, and somehow more alive in its silence. The great wooden stage, built without nails, stretches boldly out over the hillside, its beams disappearing into the darkness beneath. Lanterns glow along the walkways, casting soft halos of gold across the polished planks. You step onto the terrace, the wood cool beneath your feet, smooth from centuries of footsteps. Ahead, Kyoto sprawls across the plain, its lights twinkling like scattered fireflies. The horizon glimmers faintly, where the last traces of sunset linger. The temple bell tolls, its deep tone rolling outward, resonating through the hills and into your chest. It is a sound older than the city itself, unchanged across generations, a reminder that here time is measured not in hours, but in centuries. You move slowly along the balcony, pausing to gaze down at the dark forest below. The trees sway gently in the night breeze, their leaves rustling like whispers. Somewhere in the distance, water rushes faintly, the Ottawa waterfall, whose streams of purity have drawn pilgrims for centuries. Though the crowds are gone now, the waterfall still flows, eternal, steady, a reminder of the continuity of life. Leaving Kiyomizu-dera, you descend into narrow lanes lined with shops. Most are shuttered now, their signs dark, their wares packed away for the night. Yet the architecture itself feels timeless: wooden facades, tiled roofs, paper lanterns swaying in the breeze. The quietness allows you to notice details missed in the day. A carving above a doorway, a shrine tucked into a corner, a stone basin glistening with dew. Your path carries you farther south, where the great Torii gates of Fushimi Inari Taisha rise from the base of Mount Inari. Even from a distance, you see them glowing faintly, illuminated by lanterns that line the paths. Thousands of vermilion gates stretch into the darkness, forming tunnels of color that twist upward into the mountain forest. By day, these paths are alive with visitors, the sound of footsteps and voices echoing endlessly through the gates. But now, at dusk, they are nearly empty. Only the sound of insects and the faint rustle of leaves accompanies your walk. You step beneath the first torii, its beams towering above you, its paint vivid even in the dim light. The air feels different here still, charged with reverence, as though each gate is a threshold between worlds. As you pass through, the gates continue, one after another, forming an unbroken passageway that seems to stretch into infinity. The lanterns glow along the path, casting shadows across the wooden beams, turning the gates into a rhythm of light and dark, presence and absence. Each gate bears inscriptions, the names of those who donated them carved in bold calligraphy. They are markers of devotion, of gratitude, of prayers carried into the heavens. Walking among them, you feel as though you are moving not only through space, but through centuries of faith, each gate a voice in a chorus that has sung unbroken for 1,000 years. The climb is steady, winding upward. At intervals, the path opens onto small shrines, their altars glowing with candlelight. Fox statues, messengers of the deity Inari, stand watch in stone, their eyes gleaming in the lantern glow. Offerings of rice, sake, and coins rest at their feet, tokens of devotion left by unseen hands. The air is heavy with incense, its scent mingling with the fragrance of cedar and moss. You pause at one shrine, the silence profound. The only sounds are the faint buzz of insects and the occasional creak of wood as the torii gates shift slightly in the night air. The stillness is deep, not empty but full, full of memory, of prayer, of unseen presence. You bow your head for a moment, letting the quiet seep into you, before continuing on. The higher you climb, the quieter it becomes. The lanterns grow fewer, the forest darker, the gates stretching into near infinity. You glance back once, and the path behind you is a tunnel of glowing red, fading into the distance like a trail of embers. Ahead, the gates vanish into shadow, leading ever upward. The experience is dreamlike, as though you are walking not in a city, but in a passage between the earth and the divine. Eventually, you reach a clearing where the trees part. The city spreads out below, its lights shimmering faintly. Above, the stars are visible now, clear and sharp against the dark sky. Between the torii gates and the heavens, you feel suspended, held between worlds, the mortal and the eternal, the earthly and the divine. Descending once more, you return to the base of the mountain, where the main shrine glows with steady lantern light. The courtyard is empty, the gravel raked smooth, the vermilion structures luminous against the dark. You cross the grounds slowly, your footsteps crunching softly, until you reach the great torii at the entrance. Passing beneath it, you leave the sacred space behind, though its presence lingers, woven into the night air. From here, your walk carries you toward another temple. Along the way, you pass smaller shrines, each with its own character. Stone steps worn smooth, fox statues weathered by rain, lanterns glowing faintly against wooden beams. Each one is a reminder that Kyoto is not a city of isolated monuments, but a living tapestry of devotion, woven into every neighborhood, every hillside, every turn of the path. Your journey brings you finally to Yasaka Shrine, its great lantern-lit gates welcoming you back toward the heart of the city. The shrine grounds are bright, with hundreds of glowing paper lanterns, each painted with the names of local families and businesses. They sway gently in the night breeze, their light warm and welcoming, their glow a symbol of community as much as of devotion. The central hall rises above, its steps leading upward, its doors closed yet alive with presence. You stand in the courtyard, surrounded by the soft glow of lanterns, the murmurs of wind through the trees, the distant toll of bells. Here, Kyoto's sacred essence feels most alive, accessible, inviting, timeless. The shrines and temples of this city are not relics, but living spaces, places where centuries of faith and daily life intertwine. As you leave Yasaka Shrine and step once more into the quiet alleys, you realize that Kyoto at night is a city of thresholds between past and present, between sacred and mundane, between silence and sound. To walk through its temples and shrines at dusk is to walk through a history still alive, still breathing, still luminous in the glow of lanterns. And so, with the sacred stillness lingering around you, your twilight journey continues, carrying you deeper into the heart of Kyoto. Leaving the glowing lanterns of Yasaka Shrine behind, you follow a quieter path westward, where the city thins and the sound of water becomes stronger. Kyoto is not only a city of streets and shrines, but of gardens, hidden sanctuaries, tucked behind temple walls, where nature and design blend into a harmony that feels almost otherworldly. At night, these gardens reveal themselves in a softer way, their beauty distilled into stillness, their silence speaking louder than any daytime crowd. Your walk brings you first to a small Zen garden. The gate is simple, wooden, its roof thatched, its presence humble. Passing through, you find yourself in a courtyard where gravel has been carefully raked into rippling patterns, each line deliberate, each curve precise. Stones rise like islands from the sea of white gravel, their dark forms steady and eternal. A lantern glows softly at the garden's edge, its light casting long shadows that accentuate the patterns, making them seem alive, as though the gravel itself were flowing. You sit for a while on the wooden veranda, the planks cool beneath you, The silence is deep, broken only by the faint hum of crickets and the occasional rustle of bamboo in the distance. The garden does not demand your attention. It invites it. Its beauty is not in spectacle, but in restraint, in the space it creates for your own thoughts to settle. Each stone, each line of gravel, each lantern glow feels intentional, a lesson in simplicity and balance. Leaving the Zen garden, you follow a stone path lined with moss. The ground is soft, damp with evening dew, the moss glowing faintly in the lantern light. The path winds gently downward until you arrive at a pond. Its surface is still, reflecting the branches of pine trees above and the faint glow of lanterns along its edge. Koi fish drift lazily beneath the surface, their movements slow, their fins slicing ripples across the mirror-like water. You lean against the wooden railing, watching as one golden koi breaks the surface briefly, the sound a gentle splash that fades quickly into silence. A pavilion stands at the edge of the pond, its roof curved gracefully, its beams painted in muted tones of red and brown. Inside, tatami mats are spread neatly, and a low table rests at the center, set with nothing but a single vase of flowers. The air carries the faint scent of pine, mixed with the sweetness of plum blossoms. Though the trees themselves are not in bloom, the fragrance seems to linger in the wood, absorbed through centuries, released slowly with the night's coolness. You pause in the pavilion, gazing outward across the pond. The garden feels timeless, untouched by the world beyond its walls. Crickets sing, water laps softly against stone, lanterns flicker in the breeze. You realize that in Kyoto, gardens are not simply places of beauty. They are spaces of reflection, designed to remind those who enter of their place in the world, of the balance between humanity and nature. Eventually, you leave the garden and continue your walk. The path carries you farther west, toward the district of Arashiyama, where one of Kyoto's most iconic landscapes awaits. The air grows cooler as you approach, carrying with it the scent of river water and the distant sound of bamboo rustling. Soon, you step into the Arashiyama bamboo grove, and the world shifts. The bamboo rises around you in endless columns, tall and slender, their green stalks reaching skyward until they disappear into a canopy of leaves. At night, the grove is luminous. Lanterns placed discreetly along the path cast soft light upward, illuminating the bamboo from below. The stalks glow faintly, their surfaces smooth and pale, their leaves swaying gently high above. The effect is dreamlike, as though you have stepped into a forest not of this world, but of some quiet dreamscape. The sound here is unlike anywhere else. The bamboo creaks as it sways, a deep, woody groan that echoes softly. The leaves whisper against each other, a constant, soothing hush, like waves lapping at a distant shore. Together, the creak and the whisper form a rhythm, a natural symphony that has played for centuries. You walk slowly along the path, each step measured, your senses filled with the sound and the glow of the bamboo. The grove is nearly empty now. By day, it is crowded with visitors, cameras raised, voices echoing. But at night, it belongs to the silence. You are alone with the bamboo, the lanterns, the breeze. The path twists gently, curving between the towering stalks. Occasionally, a small shrine appears, a wooden structure tucked into the grove, its torii painted vermilion, its altar glowing with a single candle. Offerings of coins and folded paper rest quietly at its base, left by unseen hands. The shrine feels not isolated, but part of the grove itself, as though the bamboo and the deity it honors are one and the same. You pause halfway along the path, looking upward. The stalks sway slowly, their tops bending, their leaves shimmering against the night sky. Stars glimmer faintly through the canopy, their light mingling with the lantern glow. For a moment, you feel suspended, caught between the earth and the heavens, the bamboo forming pillars that bridge the two. The silence deepens, and you realize how rare such stillness is in the modern world. Continuing onward, you reach the edge of the grove where the path opens onto the Togetsukyo Bridge. The bridge stretches gracefully across the Katsura River, its wooden planks glowing faintly in the moonlight. You step onto it, the sound of water filling your ears. The river flows steadily below, its surface reflecting the lanterns from the bridge and the stars from above. The mountains rise in the distance, their silhouettes dark against the horizon. You lean against the railing, gazing at the scene. The bamboo grove behind you, the river before you, the mountains beyond it, is a composition of elements, each in harmony, each contributing to a sense of peace. The night air carries the scent of cedar and river water, cool and refreshing. The only sounds are the murmur of the river and the occasional creak of the bridge beneath your feet. As you stand there, you realize that Kyoto is not only a city of temples and shrines, but of spaces where nature itself becomes sacred. The gardens, the ponds, the bamboo groves, all are reminders that beauty is not something to be imposed, but something to be revealed, nurtured, honored. In these places, silence is not emptiness, but fullness, a presence that speaks more deeply than words. When you finally leave the bridge and turn back toward the city, the night feels richer, deeper. The bamboo's whispers linger in your ears, the koi's ripples remain in your mind, the patterns of the Zen garden still etched in your memory. Kyoto has shown you another of its faces, its quietest, most contemplative face, revealed only to those who walk its gardens and groves after the sun has set. And so, your twilight journey continues, carrying you back toward the heart of the city, where new flavors and traditions await in the glow of lantern-lit streets. The night deepens as you leave Arashiyama behind, making your way back into the heart of Kyoto. The bamboo whispers fade, replaced once more by the steady hum of the city at rest. Yet Kyoto never feels hurried, even here. Its pace is slower, more deliberate, as though time itself moves differently within its streets. Lanterns glow at every turn, and with them come the sense of food, warm, savory, sweet, drifting through the night air. The first aromas reach you from a cluster of food stalls near a quiet side street. Red paper lanterns hang above each one, their surfaces painted with bold calligraphy. Beneath the lanterns, vendors stand over steaming grills, their movements practiced and efficient. The air is alive with fragrance. Soy sauce sizzling on skewers of yakitori, octopus balls turning slowly in their pans of hot batter, noodles stir-fried with cabbage and pork. You stop at one stall, where a vendor flips takoyaki with quick flicks of his pick. The batter crisps, the pieces turning golden, their scent rich and inviting. He slides a portion into a small paper tray, brushing them with a sweet, savory glaze before sprinkling them with bonito flakes that dance in the steam. You take a bite, the exterior hot and crisp, the inside molten and soft, the flavor balanced perfectly by the smokiness of the fish shavings. The warmth spreads through you, grounding you in the moment, connecting you to the street's gentle energy. Moving on, you pass another stall, where skewers of yakitori roast over glowing coals. The vendor fans the flames lightly, the smoke rising fragrant with soy and char. You watch as he brushes glaze across the skewers, the meat glistening in the lantern light. The scent lingers as you continue down the lane, mingling with the sweetness of taiyaki fish-shaped cakes filled with red bean paste, their aroma warm and comforting. Leaving the stalls, you wander deeper into the alleys. The glow of lanterns leads you to a small ramen shop tucked between two wooden houses. Its door is marked by Norin curtains, the fabric swaying as someone steps inside. Drawn by the smell of broth, rich with soy and miso, you slide the curtain aside and enter. Inside, the shop is small, no more than a counter and a few stools. Steam fills the air, carrying the fragrance of pork bones simmered for hours, of garlic sizzling in oil, of noodles fresh and springy. The chef works quickly behind the counter, ladling broth into bowls, topping them with slices of pork, soft-boiled eggs, scallions, and bamboo shoots. The sound of slurping fills the room, steady and comforting. You sit at the counter, and a bowl is placed before you. The first sip of broth is deep, savory, layered with richness. The noodles are firm, springing gently against your chopsticks. Each bite warms you from within, filling not only your stomach but your spirit. Around you, others eat quietly, their attention focused entirely on their bowls. Conversation is minimal, unnecessary. The ritual of ramen is not about words, but about presence, about savoring each moment, each flavor. When you finish, you bow slightly to the chef, who nods in return, his hands already busy with the next bowl. You step back into the night, the cool air refreshing after the warmth of the shop. The scents of broth and charcoal linger faintly as you continue your walk. Farther along, you come across a tea house, its doorway marked by a single lantern, glowing softly against the wood. You step inside, and the atmosphere shifts immediately. The space is dim, serene, the floor lined with tatami mats. A low table sits at the center, and at its side a host kneels, preparing tea. The ritual unfolds with deliberate grace. The bamboo whisk stirs the powdered matcha into steaming water, creating a frothy green surface. The bowl is turned carefully, offered with both hands. A gesture of respect. You accept the tea, feeling the warmth radiate through the ceramic. The first sip is bitter, earthy, yet balanced, its depth lingering long after it has passed your lips. It is not the sweetness of dessert, nor the richness of ramen. It is something simpler, deeper. The tea is not meant to overwhelm, but to quiet, to bring you fully into the present moment. Around you, the silence of the tea house amplifies the experience. The soft creak of tatami beneath shifting weight, the faint whisper of the kettle, the almost imperceptible rustle of cloth as the host moves with practiced precision. When the tea is finished, you bow once more and step outside. The air feels clearer, your senses sharper, as though the tea has not only warmed you, but centered you. The street is quiet now, but you notice another shop glowing faintly. Inside, trays of wagashi traditional Japanese sweets rest neatly in rows. Mochi filled with red bean paste, translucent jelly sweets shaped like seasonal flowers, rice crackers glazed with soy and sugar. You select a small piece of yatsuhashi, a Kyoto specialty of cinnamon-scented rice flour folded around sweet filling. The flavor is gentle, delicate, just enough to linger on your tongue as you step back into the night. Walking along the Kamo River once more, you notice small groups gathered at the banks. Some sit quietly, their bento boxes open, sharing food with friends. Others sip from cups of sake, their voices low, their laughter restrained but warm. The river reflects the lanterns from the bridges above, the stars from the sky beyond. Food here is not simply about eating. It is about connection, about savoring togetherness, about marking the passage of time through simple, shared rituals. As you pause at the river's edge, the flavors of Kyoto linger with you. The warmth of ramen broth, the sweetness of taiyaki, the bitterness of matcha, the subtle spice of yatsuhashi. Each taste carries with it the spirit of the city, a reminder that food is as much a part of its identity as temples or gardens. To eat in Kyoto at night is not only to satisfy hunger, but to step into a tradition centuries old, where nourishment and beauty are one and the same. The night is deep now, and the streets grow quieter. The food stalls close, the lanterns dim, but the memory of their warmth remains. Your steps carry you farther along the river, the city soft around you, the flavors of its kitchens still alive in your mind. Kyoto has shared its table with you, and in doing so, has shared its heart. And as you walk onward, you realize that your journey is nearing its end. The temples, the gardens, the food, the river all have revealed a city that is not only seen, but tasted, heard, and felt. One more chapter remains, where reflection will bring the walk to a gentle close. The night is deep now, the hour well past midnight. Yet Kyoto has not grown empty. It has only grown quieter, softer, as though the entire city has settled into its own rhythm of rest. Your steps carry you back toward the Kamo River, the steady presence that winds through the city like a silver thread. By day, its banks are lively with children playing, couples strolling, musicians practicing beneath the bridges. But at this hour, it belongs to the night alone. The river glimmers faintly under the lanterns strung along the walkways. Their reflections stretch across the water in trembling streaks of gold and red, broken occasionally by ripples from the current. Overhead, the stars remain clear, their light mingling with the lanterns so that the river seems to hold both the heavens and the city within its depths. The sound of flowing water is constant, steady, a soft murmur that fills the air with calm. You pause at the bank, leaning against the railing. The cool breeze rises from the river, brushing gently across your skin, carrying with it the scent of water and stone. Frogs croak faintly from the reeds, their calls rhythmic, joined by the chirp of crickets that echo across the darkened fields beyond. The soundscape is natural, eternal, a reminder that Kyoto is not only a city of temples and streets, but of rivers, mountains, and seasons. Walking slowly along the bank, you notice the silhouettes of a few others. A couple sits side by side on the stone steps, their heads tilted toward the stars, their hands clasped quietly between them. Farther along, a lone figure plays a bamboo flute, the notes rising soft and haunting, blending perfectly with the sound of the water. The music drifts across the river, light and ephemeral, fading as quickly as it comes, like mist dissolving into the night. You cross one of the low bridges that arch over the river. Its wooden planks creak softly beneath your weight, the sound blending with the sigh of the current below. From its center, you pause to gaze out. The city stretches on either side, lanterns glowing faintly, but here on the bridge, you feel suspended neither in the bustle of streets nor the stillness of water, but in a space between. The reflections shimmer endlessly, the river carrying the memory of everything it touches: shrines, gardens, flavors, footsteps, lanterns. On the far bank, the path narrows. Small stone lanterns line the edge, their flames flickering, their light catching in the reeds. You walk carefully, your footsteps muffled by the earth. The air is cooler here, fresher, touched with the faint sweetness of wildflowers growing unseen in the grass. Above, the constellations shift slowly westward, their patterns unchanged for millennia, the same sky that guided travelers long before you. You sit for a while on a low stone step at the water's edge. The river flows steadily before you, its surface silver under the moonlight, its voice steady and calm. You watch as ripples catch the light, forming patterns that change and dissolve in an instant. Each one is fleeting, yet together they form something continuous, something eternal. In that rhythm, you sense Kyoto itself ever changing with the seasons, yet constant in its essence, a city that endures by flowing with time rather than resisting it. The walk has taken you through many faces of Kyoto, the lantern-lit alleys of Gion, where geishas still move gracefully between tea houses, the terraces of Kiyomizu-dera, and the endless torii of Fushimi Inari, sacred spaces that breathe with centuries of devotion. The Zen gardens and bamboo groves, sanctuaries of silence where nature and design merge into one. The flavors of night ramen broth, matcha tea, sweet wagashi that nourish not only the body but the spirit. And now, the river, flowing endlessly, carrying all of it in its reflection. Kyoto has revealed itself not through spectacle, but through stillness. Its beauty is not loud but quiet, woven into details: the clack of wooden sandals on stone, the glow of a lantern in the dark, the fragrance of incense lingering in temple air. To walk here at night is to learn that peace is not the absence of life, but the presence of balance, of harmony, of continuity. You rise and continue along the riverbank one last time. The city behind you is hushed, The mountains beyond are dark silhouettes. The river before you is a ribbon of silver. Everything is in balance. The lanterns sway gently in the breeze. The stars shimmer faintly above. The water flows steadily onward. In this moment, you feel the essence of Kyoto, ancient yet alive, fleeting yet eternal, fragile yet enduring. As you reach another bridge, you pause for one final look. The reflections of lanterns and stars stretch endlessly across the water, merging together into a single glow. The river carries it all forward, just as time carries the city, just as memory will carry this walk with you long after the night ends. And so, your twilight stroll through Kyoto comes to a close. The gardens, the temples, the flavors, the lanterns all flow together in the quiet rhythm of the Kamo River. The city rests, the night deepens, and Kyoto endures timeless, luminous, eternal.